I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angelo Rocha. I am the host of VETS. Hi there. If you see me in social media land, my name is Angelo Rocha. I'm the host of VETS, a show where I take local Johnson County veterans from all walks of life, and I sit down with them, and I have this beautiful chat, and we discuss their life before, during, and after their military service, or firefighting service, or police service, or anything that involves them being a veteran. And today I have a special guest. His name is Michael Oliver.
Hey, man. Great to be here. Love to sit, Love everything about it.
Well, great. Well, Tiffany's going to appreciate that because she loves when people compliment her stuff.
This is awesome. We get to look outside and see beautiful Johnson County, right?
It's all beautiful. Man,
all
I'll
of our
tell you what.
home.
Well, but Tiffany, she has big plans for Joco Radio. So we'll see where it's going to head in 2024.
We don't have any groupies yet, but if y'all could get up here in the next 59
that'd
minutes,
be fantastic.
Stand
Have
here
people
and hold
holding
a
up
sign.
signs. That, I'll tell you what, Tiffany, if everything was aligned and all the stars were aligned, we would have a lot of people here. But the thing is, everybody's too busy to listen, or everybody's too busy to watch.
Right.
But
right.
Anyway, before we go on to the Vet for Vets, where I interview Michael Oliver, it's not really an interview. It's more of a chit chat, a bullshit session where we kind of just discuss your life.
Hey, 20 years military, I got bullshit in me. Trust me, it's there.
So the first thing we want to talk about is something that's really important to all of us, especially us veterans, and that's PTSD, suicide, depression, and other mental problems that us veterans suffer. If you are a veteran and you're going through some shit, if you're feeling depressed, you're feeling like the end of the world, you feel like you got to pull out that 9mm Glock from your cabinet, I'm just letting you know that we, as in me and Michael, are here for you. We will help you, guide you to the proper locations that you need to go to. Okay. Another way we can do it is by going to 988. So what you do is you get your cell phone or call 988, you dial 1. Okay. You're going to be taken to an actual real professional, somebody who's been to school for this. And what they do is they talk to you. They're not going to try to talk you down to not doing what you got to do. What they're going to do is they're going to guide you to the right people that can help you. Because a lot of us veterans and a lot of people who have turmoil inside of us that are related to addictions, that are related to depressions, are related to infidelity of the spousal kind, things that involves death in the family. Okay. What they do is they take you to those professionals, people that are able to help you feel better. Okay. Even if it involves some therapy, anger management issues, all of that can be handled by 988. This was created as a program to help us veterans and other first responders like military, police officers and firemen. I don't know if you knew about 988.
Yep.
If you didn't, now you know.
Yep.
So
I didn't know, but now I know.
Now you know. What's your take on PTSD, depression? Like, what can you say to a veteran that's listening right now that maybe is having turmoil?
I look at PTSD like a mission. It is not the end. It's the hurdle. You've got to get over it. You've got to move forward. You can't let it win. I suffered from PTSD I started off in 91 and I was in South America. I dealt with stuff down there. I've suffered with PTSD most of my life, and it wasn't until 2015 that I really was like, I was out of the service and I needed to handle it. And I wasn't going. I was like, no. There's people who lost a leg, people who got missing their nose or something.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems. But then I started noticing things and people started pointing stuff out to me.
Sometimes that's what it takes. It's somebody to say,
somebody had to say something. Then I went in the room and I'm that guy with my arms crossed going, well, I don't have any problems. I don't need to be here. And about 10 seconds into being in there, I'm like, dude, these guys are going through what I'm going through.
Same thing.
And I was like, I come home from a mission and a burning body smells sweet. It smells like barbecue.
It does.
And everybody wants to take you to a barbecue when you come home, or they want to take you to the beach and let's enjoy ourselves. And I'm like, no, I don't want to see sand and I don't want to smell barbecue. And I was telling the guy in the group session, I was like, can you help me figure out what I can do to where whenever I smell barbecue, I don't want to vomit and I don't want to. And he goes, oh, yeah. And he started talking. He goes, man, you got to tell yourself the physical address where you're at. You got to tell yourself what day it is. You need to tell yourself what time it is. You need to tell yourself all the people you're with. And slowly but surely, that painful memory that you go back to will go away. And it helped a great deal. And it doesn't help all the time. You're going to have stuff happen, and it doesn't help all the time. But it's a hurdle. First time you jump it, you may trip. You may fall down. The second time you jump it, you clear it. Eventually, you're moving on down the road, and you can eat things, and you can be in places and smell stuff and taste things that don't take you back. Because those are the trigger memories for me.
What do you think is the worst thing a veteran can do if he's trying to get some help, other than not saying anything? What do you think is the worst thing?
Self-medicate or alcohol. I mean, like if
They
you
think it works, doesn't it?
yeah,
they think it works.
you think you can sleep because you got drunk, and what you don't realize is you're not actually sleeping. They've done studies. You wake up and you're not coherent. You're not getting good rest. Any kind of illegal narcotic or anything that you take that you think it's going to help you, hell, just going and taking Benadryl every night and trying to go to sleep with that's not going to take the memory away.
Mm.
You still have it. So you have to go talk to someone, and they teach you how to retrain your brain. Just like somebody has a stroke, they learn how to retrain their brain to where they can use their arm again. You have to retrain your brain because unfortunately, you're not going to be normal for what's happened.
No, my wife tells me I'm not normal
You're not.
every day.
You're not. And
No,
she's not wrong, right?
She's not wrong.
And so you have to find a way to be normal. You have to find a way to go forward.
Yeah.
And I look at it like a mission. I'm not going to let this beat me. It's never going to stop me. It's something I have. I have traumatic brain injury. I have a hard time remembering things. I write everything down. I put alerts in my phone. I use the calendar app on my phone. I do it right then and there when someone's talking to me so I don't miss appointments.
That's probably one of my biggest things, my memory. Like sometimes I just forget something that's
gone.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
You know, like my wife or somebody will tell me something, then literally within an hour, I'll just
I just told you this.
Yeah, I just told you this. And my wife tells me that all the time. And I've gotten on to her about it. Like me and her have had arguments about, hey, look, was in the military. I've been in concussion. Mortars are going off within 20, 30 yards from me.
Right.
Luckily nothing happened, but it's like I'm quite sure my head was rocked by those those rounds. The stress of it all.
Something's not right.
Yeah, something's not right. And I know it's not right. Like
Right.
I forget simple things, but at the same time, it's like I can't help it. I'm sorry.
You have to work forward with what you are to become a new normal.
It is.
And I mean, if you're experienced, and the other thing you talked about, and it's so good that you brought it up because this is the one thing that I try to explain to everyone about veterans. We went from being accountable to 50 or 60 people. Your subordinates are always looking for you.
Yep.
Your higher ups are always looking for you.
It's the stress of it.
And then you came out and nobody cares. Nobody's looking for you. And you'll go 3-4 days without your phone ringing or something. I tell my veteran friends, hey, if you're lonely, pick up the phone.
Call somebody.
Call me because I talk all the time. I'll talk you to sleep. Like
same with me.
Yeah, pick up the phone and call me. And like you said, now I got another source, 988. Hey, call this number. There's someone. We have Navy One Source. It used to be Navy One Source for us. I've never personally called them, but I've had people call them, and they've talked to them and said, hey, look, we'll get you to a good place. Go to this place and just sit there and talk to this person.
Yeah.
And
I get mad at veterans that end their own lives because they think they're doing it themselves a service. But what it does is it actually creates chaos and turmoil in their families.
It hurts.
Because a lot of their families, their whole life, they go 20, 30, 40 years wondering why didn't they say something? They never mentioned this to me. They never told me he was depressed. He never told me he had these issues.
Right.
If only they spoke up. Right. But a lot of them are proud of themselves. They're too manly men. They can't say anything.
Well, and you tell yourself, I'm not going to
You're weak if you say anything.
You're like, I'm not going to opt out. I got this under control. I got this under control.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have a blackout moment. You drank too much. You've taken too much. You've done something and you wake up next to a gun and you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
That's all it takes.
And you don't know if they woke up because they thought somebody was trying to get them or if it was they were going to do something to themselves. And that's scary. So, fortunately, I haven't had any of that, but I did go through, and I still go through darkness. You're going to have it happen. And I tell everyone, it's like a looming cloud. It comes over you. You tasted something, you smelt something, someone pushed you to the edge, someone got in your face for something they shouldn't have. And you have to remember, they don't know what's inside of you. So you have to back away from it. And you get through that, and you pick up the phone and call somebody. You got to have someone to talk to. And that 988 is a good source. If it's somebody that just listens to you.
A lot of veterans don't know about that.
You just pick up the phone and just somebody would listen to you.
Just somebody. 988 is definitely a good source. So if you're listening in live right now on social media, or you're watching this later on in your bed, while you're about to go to sleep, just letting you know, 988 is a real number. You call it in and you type in 1. That's for military, first responders, police officers, firemen, EMTs, people like that. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our first section where the people of Johnson County are going to get to know you, Michael.
Oh,
Okay, this is where you're going to reveal your blood type, your social security number, and other things that maybe a lot of people want to know.
the
Just
PIN number to my ATM, right? No,
No. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Houston. I was born in Spring Branch Memorial on the west side of Houston. It's like the northwest side. And I'm a full blown Houstonian north side kid. Grew up in a great family. My mom and dad, we're not poor. I mean, I came from I didn't come from a wealthy family.
Yeah,
I came
middle
from
class.
yeah,
Middle class.
yeah, lower. I would think we were upper lower class or lower middle
Yeah.
class, right at that borderline. And we lived a budgeted life,
Yeah.
And so I had a bicycle and I had food and I had clothes and stuff.
Yeah, you had the bare minimum of what a child should have.
Right, right. And I didn't have a bad life, but my grandfather was a sergeant in World War II and a war hero. Medals,
Dang,
all
that's
just
awesome.
grew up weaned on those
Bravest
stories.
generation.
Oh yeah. And then most of the men on that side, my father and my uncle were both in the service. My dad was in the Navy, my uncle was in the Marine Corps. And then whenever I come along, I'm like, well, I have to go in the service. So I knew at a young age.
It's one of those things where you're like, you know what? I'm going to do my family proud.
Right. That's going to be me. I'm going to wear the suit like
Yeah.
John Wayne, and I'm going to have the medals and the
Yeah.
ribbons, and I'm going to
Mine
do.
was different. My
Oh.
story, I was an immigrant.
Oh, wow.
My family migrated here in the middle of the 1980s,
Mhm.
1985 to 87. My uncles and aunts and everybody kind of migrated differently.
From where?
From Portugal.
Portugal. Okay.
And what happened was the United States of America gave my family opportunities that I couldn't have ever imagined, and my family thrived.
Mhm.
All my family members are living in beautiful houses. They're all living a good life, all because of this country. When I was about to graduate high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something for my country since it's done so much for my family. So I
Mhm.
went ahead and joined the military just because I wanted to give something back that, this country had given me.
This
Of course,
is the American dream.
this is before 9/11, of course. If I knew about 9/11, I wouldn't have joined because
Right.
that literally is my career trajectory where I was wanting to go for film and TV and artist stuff, just kind of
Right.
sidetracked, and
Yeah. They're
what
like,
I'm
hold
doing
this
now.
rifle.
Yep, that's it.
Put that camera
Yeah,
down. Hold
that's
this
it.
rifle. I wanted to shoot a.
So you're a hardcore Houston Astros fan then?
Oh yeah. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I know
man.
right now it's bad.
You
like,
said unfortunately
because everyone up here just hates you because they're like,
they do, but not that much. I mean,
yeah,
they
it's just you
despise.
banged on a trash can. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just watched the games, right?
Come on, do you have any siblings?
I have an older brother that went in the army at one point, and I have a younger brother. He never went in the service. He was mom's sacrifice. I think he had to stay home and be good.
Do you want to name drop?
No.
No,
I
okay,
better
just
leave
wondering.
them.
I just wondering.
Yeah, better leave them both out of it. They've got different lifestyles. They got stuff they're doing that's
Interesting.
secret squirrel, I'm sure.
So you grew up a middle class, kind of. You had some stuff. You had the Nintendos. You had the all this stuff.
Mhm.
So how were your parents? Were they strict? Were they easy on you? Were they hardcore? Boom! Get your ass to work.
They're not these parents that we see today.
yeah.
I mean,
They're offended by everything.
Yeah, my mom and dad, my mom played the piano at the church and my dad was a deacon, so we couldn't cuss, we couldn't watch
Oh,
movies
man.
that everyone else watched. We were good kids. We were boys, so I mean it was the Tuesday night main event. Somebody
Nice.
was always throwing knuckles in that house. And my dad, he always had a Father, Son, Holy Ghost, on your butt every now and then. He had to give you the 3 swats to bring you back to normal.
Did it involve your mom? You talking back to your mom or not listening?
Very
to your mom?
little, because my mom is 10 foot. She's a Southern mama. She 10
That's
foot
how it
tall,
was with me and my
bulletproof.
sister.
Right. It like, she's the brutal one. I always tell
Oh,
everyone Dad shows up at the last minute and cleans everything up, but mom was just mean. She didn't put up with nothing from us.
Are they both still around?
Yeah, mom and
Oh,
dad are still
that's cool.
kicking 70s, and
How long have they been married, or are they separated?
God, no, they're still married. They've been
Holy
married in
mackerel.
like 50 something years. My older brother's
Oh.
51, so they've been married like 52 or 53.
My mom and dad are still married 45 years,
Could you
46 years.
imagine? That's just forever,
Man.
right?
Yeah,
You don't
at
even want to
this
train
point, you
any-
don't love them, you just tolerate them.
Right,
I think
right,
that's
right,
what
yeah.
it is. It's
Yeah,
like,
and they don't want to train anyone new.
No.
She already knows what pills I take. I mean,
Yeah.
she gets everything ready for me.
yeah,
kind
my
of
mom
thing.
keeps telling me when my dad retires up there in New York City, they're gonna just move here to Texas to be closer to me.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
a little bit about me. My daughter, my oldest, just had her first baby, and I'm officially a grandfather.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he's
How
only
old are you?
like I'm 44.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
lucky. I'm 49. I still have no grandkids. I want
None.
to spoil a grandkid so
Well, I
bad.
didn't expect my 18-year-old daughter to get pregnant. But you know, I still love her to death. You know, and I just take it as it
It's a
is.
blessing.
You know,
It's a blessing.
It is.
25 years from now, no one's going to know. No one's going to care.
Nice.
It's still a baby. And you're still so happy.
So, what kind of kid were you growing up? Were you the high school jock, or were you the book type? Were you?
I played sports, and you really kind of played sports to stay out of the house. You know, we didn't have the things that kids do now, that like you talked about the Nintendo and all that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
video games.
Yeah, I didn't really have all that because, like I said, we lived a budget life.
Hmm.
So we played sports and tried to stay active and stuff. But I mean, glasses on my face. I was a nerd.
So
You
you were
got
half and half.
labeled. I was half and half.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And so I can talk to you about sports. I can talk to you about Star Wars. I can talk to you about
Yeah,
anything.
that's great.
I've got the whole background. But you know, knew I wanted to go into the military. So I did the sports, and I ran and all that stuff just to stay in shape, because
Interesting.
I had heard from some of our friends who went in who were fatter or out of shape and stuff,
Yeah.
how they struggled when they got there.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to be ready for all the PRT
They
and
had
the
the
PFA.
fat boy camp there
Yeah,
at the military.
yeah.
If you fail, your
Whale
PT
Squad.
test-
We
Yep.
called it back. That was 91 in the Army, and
Oh,
they called
man.
it Whale Squad. They weren't politically correct then.
91. That's the year I believe I saw. I was in school at the time. I remember seeing the first Iraq War.
Mhm.
Where I remember
was
that,
in basic training
that
when it went
famous
down.
firefight.
Yeah.
That
Just
you
everything. The
nighttime
rockets,
firing.
red glare.
Oh man, that was amazing. And then 24 hours later, Iraq was taken by
Right,
the
right.
U.S.
I was in basic training for all 48 hours that the Iraq War went on. So
man.
I got the little national defense because I was in when the war was happening.
Yep.
And I like, that was some war, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like over in 2 days.
That's actually a lot of people are still suffering through that because of the fact that they did a lot of waiting. A lot of mental games were played on them, and it sucks for them because a lot of them stressed out. Oh, you're
sorry.
good.
Yeah, and it is.
Cool.
Yeah, I know, right? That's not him hitting me. That was me hitting the microphone.
should
Everybody, he's
imagine
not
that.
beating on me yet.
Use a remote control.
Right. Just use it. That comes out like airplane. You know, the little fist
Nice.
comes out when you say the wrong thing.
What made you, other than your grandfather and your dad and everybody in your family were served, what made you want to join the military?
Economics. I mean, more than anything, it was, I always had the desire to serve, but I knew with our budgeted lifestyle that I was going to be working somewhere, going to college and night school. We just didn't have the extra money. There was all boys, and it was just the way we lived. So I wanted to go in the service, and I wanted, Hazelwood is the big thing here in Texas at that time.
Hazelwood Act.
And you wanted the Hazelwood Act. I wanted college. I knew I wasn't ready for college. I tried to do a little bit at some point, and I'm like, this is not going to work. So I went off into the service, and it's a rite of passage, become a man. I mean, back in the day, the Indians, they would take a kid up to the mountains, and he came back. He was a man. You didn't talk to him like a kid anymore. He was a brave.
Yep.
So I wanted to go off and prove myself, show that I could do something. So I went in the service.
Did you know, a little quick fact, that you're talking about the Indians and stuff like that? In Fort Sill, Oklahoma, there's an actual, remember the famous Indian jumping off Geronimo? There's an actual plaque down at the bottom of that hill that says Geronimo is being followed by the military. He climbs up this hill, and one of the famous colonels that was his friend was telling him, don't go, Geronimo, don't go. And a lot of people think it was him saying Geronimo. No, it was his friend yelling for him not to jump.
Didn't want him to
like
jump
like
off.
Geronimo.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are misconstrued on that.
Right.
I don't know why.
I think they yell it when they jump out of the airplane.
The reason I bring that up is because that famous hill down below the river that he jumped into, certain times of the year that river is low and you can actually die from jumping off that hill. He just happened to jump at the right moment when the water was flush with a lot of sea life and everything. So he jumped right in there at the right moment. And the passage of life with these kids, that's what they used to do. The Native American fathers would take them to the hill, and to make them a man, they would literally,
you gotta go.
They jumped the kid. The kids would jump off into the water, and sadly, a lot of them didn't make it. They died or they drowned.
Right.
And that's
in their culture was you were a man or you died trying. Right.
That's it.
That's
but now everything's, nobody knows what's going on.
No. It's all different. I went in the service to do that, and I signed up for what was called the delayed entry or STAR program, and I went between my junior and senior year. Junior and senior year of high school. Went to basic training, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. did that AIT.
I was stationed there.
Oh, really?
no,
Lost in the
yeah,
woods,
yeah,
misery.
military police. Yeah.
Yeah, there is nothing there. It is trees and trees and trees.
Literally, that's all there is.
That's just
When you leave the post, it's all like just
Right.
woods.
I told people, I was like, it kind of reminded me of that movie with Eddie Murphy, Life, where it's like, we don't have a fence here. We have a gun line. Well,
That's
we
it.
didn't have a gun line. What we had was trees. If you ran off, you would come back because you will starve to death and die.
I love that
There's
movie.
nothing but, I know, right? That movie is so funny.
I'm the baby pappy.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's claiming that one. I love that part.
Yeah, I
but
love that movie.
they had, so I went to Fort Leonard Wood, finished my senior year, went to my AIT, and then from there,
Where'd you go to AIT?
Fort Sam.
Fort
Medic
okay,
school.
Nice.
Yeah, medic school. 91 Bravo. Back then they were all 91 Bravos.
Yeah,
There's 68 whiskey now.
Yeah, this all changed up.
Yeah,
now.
everything's changed up on the MOSs. But at 91 Bravo and went to Special Forces Medic School, and I'm a washout. Didn't make it all the way through. It's just too much on my body. Shin splints, things like that.
That makes sense.
And then I got assigned to the medical clinic. That is because I had the clearance, but I didn't have the beret. So I went where, you see these movies where these Green Berets go all these places and do these special missions.
Yep.
What you don't realize is they have a lumbering giant of support staff with them. I was assigned to the medical clinic. And that's all I can really say about the Army.
Yeah.
My time in the Army, I left and became a cop, worked in law enforcement for several years. And about 2000, I started having the hankering for the camaraderie, and I missed the people I worked with. And being a policeman, I was one of the first ones that had the camera in the car, and we called it the sergeant in the trunk because the VHS was back in the trunk.
I gotcha.
I had the first, and I didn't like that, and I didn't like the people I was dealing with were making complaints, and they weren't justified. They were people lying. They didn't realize you had the camera and stuff. So you were always dealing with something, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back in the service.
Yeah.
And I go back in the service.
Why the Navy?
Because my dad always said 3 meals a day, AC. You don't ever have to wear camouflage. You don't have to go into combat. Not my dad didn't say all that, but other people did.
Yeah, it just word of.
And unfortunately, because I was in the Army before and I knew a lot of stuff, once this war started, you became a rip to fill, and you were ripped out and stuck with the Army. So I have this little crow on my chest that makes everyone think I'm a colonel, and the whole world's saluting me whenever I walk by. But I'm an E4 at that time, and I'm like, get your hand down, put your hand down. I'm the same rank as you. Stop it. I'm the same rank as you. So it was. I mean, every specialist out there was saluting me, thinking I was the colonel, and I'm like, I'm not even old enough to be one. You know what I mean? Like, think for a minute and stuff. And same rank as them, and did the went into the Navy, and then the war started. I mean, like, I went in March, and September 11th happened, and
lockdowns, everybody trained.
Oh man,
everybody.
We went to, and it was the reserve center. I was in the reserves, and we went to the reserve center in August, and it was just normal reserve. When I got activated on September 12th, we went to the reserve center, and there were Connex boxes. I'm like, where did they get these boxes from? Like, they had Connex boxes, Marines standing at post, guard gate. You had to show your ID.
That's literally what they did with us.
I mean,
we were guarding posts. We were guarding the front gate. All the front gates were locked. You couldn't go
overnight.
Through without. You had to show ID to get through. Is
right.
Insane.
And I got activated and was out on a ship for like 30 days. Like, they just drove me to I was in Houston. They drove me to Galveston, put me on this little ship that pulled up. I don't even remember the name of it. It's so long ago, but it was like a little mine hunter.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a Pelican, because I know the Pelican was in dry dock at that time, but it was like one of those. And we were out there in the Gulf just riding around for 30 days. And your mind's going 9-0. I mean, like, is the whole world's in? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was the first wave. I thought those 4 planes was the first wave. And then there would be a beach force coming or something.
Yeah, something where it was some kind of invasion.
That's what we would do, I think, is you would do some kind of diversionary tactic, and then you would attack the other spot. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and then they went towards the islands and stuff. Yep. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. And so we come back, and it's just no planes flying, and go back home and get activated again once. And at that time, we all thought we were going to Afghanistan, right? So they're training you for the mountains. They're training you for the cold.
Yep.
And my first tour of duty, Iraq. And I'm like, it is 140 degrees.
It doesn't make
here.
any sense to me either why they were sending us to Iraq when we knew Osama bin Laden wasn't there.
Right. But I mean, the powers that be, and you can attest to this, we just do as we're ordered. We do what we're told. If it's not an immoral order, you obey it. And
that's it.
We all got on the bus and we all went to where we were supposed to be and get off the plane. And I remember being from Texas. I'm like, I can handle this heat. And they dropped that little ramp on the back of the plane. And we went and walked down that little ramp. And as we went down, I'm like, man, when we get past the engine, maybe it won't be so hot. That wasn't the engine heat. That was their heat. It was
just the heat. Yep.
And I just remember it being so hot. You just always were burning up. And
then they make you wear the chemical masks.
Yeah, we were always fun. They're coming at us with the chemicals.
It is time for our first commercial break, our first and only commercial break. Thank you for listening in. You are listening to Vet for Vets. I'm your host, Angelo Rocha, and I will see you in about 2 minutes. So sit tight and come back to me, please. Don't leave. Appreciate it.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Boom, boom, boom. That all of the music you're hearing is all Tiffany, just so you know.
Oh.
Welcome back to Vet for Vets. I'm your host, Angelo Rocha, and here I'm with Michael Oliver. He's my special guest veteran, and we're going to get to him in a little bit. First, I have to talk about my sponsors. Just letting you know, Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. That means all Apple and Android devices. Simply search your store, and that's where you'll find the Joco Community app. Check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more are brought to you by Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. And when I say hail, it's H-A-I-L, hail, not hail. Because if you're from the South here, like say if I'm from the South here, and I say hail, it sounds like you're saying hell.
Yeah,
but,
right.
So
nope, that's how we say both words. From
be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. That's actually Tiffany's actual website for.
Oh, okay.
It's got a lot of
Stuffy.com.
trinkets and cool stuff that I recommend if you're thinking, hey, you know what, I gotta buy my wife, my mom something. Her website.
Got to represent.
Got to
right?
represent.
Got to represent. That's awesome.
So yeah, Tiffany is one of Burleson's most prominent people, and I try to talk about this radio station as many people as I can. It just everybody's so busy, everybody's so busy with their lives,
I listen to it during the day. I purposely didn't listen to your show because I wanted to come in here fresh on the first episode. But I listen to JoCo Radio.
Most people just don't listen or watch me.
Oh no, I'm probably going to tune in on a regular now because if you guys are doing this, and I like listening to veteran podcasts. I like listening to people talking
I've
about.
had a lot of great guests. I've had some where it's just like, okay, they're good people.
That's the kind of life that we have.
Yes,
you never know what's going to go in there. And
my goal is, say for example, I walk into a Walmart and I see a veteran. I want to know what they've been through. I feel like I want to get to know them, and this Vet for Vets is a gateway to me finding out more about them. I mean, I give my business card out to almost every veteran I meet that's not related to Facebook when I'm out there somewhere, and a lot of them don't respond. They're too shy. They're too nervous to talk. I've had some veterans say, yes, I'll meet you in this day, and then last minute say, I can't. I'm just too nervous. I can't do it.
You are putting yourself out here. I do stand-up comedy. That's part of the reason why I'm here, to plug my little Michael Oliver.
That's exactly what we're going to talk about.
I'm only on open mics. I haven't got big enough to where anyone's seen me. But if you
get it, open mic, get it.
Oh yeah, right. And my production company's all over production because my last name's Oliver, so it's all over. But I got to tell you the story about my name. So I'm Michael Oliver. And there is a Michael Oliver that was in the movie Problem Child in the, I guess, 80s or 90s.
No, it was 90s. Yeah, it was early 90s.
He is about 4 to 6 years younger than me. I don't know for
sure. At the
time? He is still 4 to 6 younger than me.
Because I've seen one of those videos where it's them now.
Yes, and he's grown. He's
a good-looking kid.
Yeah, big, good-looking guy. And I've reached out to him, and he hadn't responded back. But Mike, if you're there, listen to me. I had his name. And he disappeared about the time I joined the Army. And then, randomly your name shows up in something. And these people, I heard it happen to Jerry Mathers, the guy who played the Beaver. There was a Jerry Mathers that died in Vietnam, and everyone thought it was him. It's happened to other people.
Yeah.
And at first these reporters would call, and I would be like, look, I'm not him. Thank you for calling, but I'm not him, And then they're like, nuh-uh, you're really him. I can tell in your voice. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm from Texas, dude. I don't sound like him. And people would call all the time. And finally, I'm just like, oh, well, I didn't do episode 3 because I think Ritter was on cocaine. And I'm just making up crap, total BS to tell these people. And they would still call. And finally, one guy's like, look, you're so funny. I want to do a face-to-face interview with you. I'm like, okay, come on out. And he drives to wherever I'm at. And I open the door and he goes, you're not that Mike Oliver. And I'm like, I know, but y'all don't ever listen to me. You never believe me.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd have some fun with you. You want to come in and have a beer? And the guy's like, that's not funny. And he reaches up and grabs my door and slams it shut. Like he had to shut the door on me and then walks off. Then he comes back and knocks on the door, and I open the door, and he's like, still not funny, but you should probably do comedy or something, and then leaves. And he didn't slam the door. And I'm like, I think I will. And that was my first comedy set, was Not That Mike Oliver. And it was just stories about getting confused with that kid and different things that reporters were doing. The internet wasn't around then, in the early 90s, and we didn't get the internet until many, many years later. But every now and then, if I get called to do an interview or something, I always tell them, you know which Mike Oliver I am. They're like, yeah, you're not the kid from Problem Child. We already checked. I'm okay, cool. Just making sure.
Just make sure you know.
Just make sure you know when you show up, I don't have red hair and I don't look like that kid. He still looks the same. He's a good looking little guy, but he still looks the same. It's not him.
It makes me wonder, like, whatever happened to him? Because he was in a bunch of huge hits back then.
I think he does a podcast, and
does he?
I think he's doing something like that. But there's so many of them that I've ran into actors when I was in LA and whenever I was stationed in San Diego, just different people. I mean, Luis Guzman would come down and go to this
Love him.
cigar shop. I love that guy.
I love him.
Looks angry all the time,
All
no
the
matter
time.
what. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
He'd go to the cigar shop there in San Diego, see him all the time.
Yeah.
And we'd ask him about, well, do you know about so-and-so that was in that with you? Oh, he went by the wayside. He's doing something else. But you would run, and then some of the guys that were in the reserves with me were actual actors, been in Sons of Anarchy,
Yeah.
played certain parts in The Gardener and stuff, different
Yeah.
things. And I've seen them and stuff since. And I'm like, oh, I got to follow him and see where his career goes and how that works out. Because there's bit parts that they could play forever, you know?
So you're in the Navy,
Mhm.
right? You want to talk about a little bit about your deployments,
Yeah.
what it was like
Um,
being a Navyman, like where
being a sailor and being in the Navy in a war that's in a desert puts a strain on the Navy, and what they need to do is justify all their people. And the Army, it's not like they can get a whole lot of people want to enlist and go fight in a
No,
war.
no.
So, and the ones they get that want to, they probably don't want, right?
Mm-mm.
So they used us as rip to fills. We would fill in on certain things. And I mean, I ran convoys up into Iraq. I ran missions that were all predominantly Marines, and I drove a tow truck. During the siege of Fallujah, I was up there working a 40-ton mobile crane. Like there were things that I did that I probably never would have got to do. Obviously, had the war not happened,
Yeah.
because I could drive anything for the military because of my background as a kid and working in construction and stuff, as well as
That's the way it was with me too.
yeah, I could drive any of the tanks because you get stuck with an armored division. You know how to drive the M113. You know
Yep.
how to drive all these different things, the Striker and stuff. Getting woke up at 2:00 in the morning because the Polish soldiers had abandoned a couple of Strikers because they had to pull out, and the Striker's still sitting there, and they're like, "You need to go start it because all the directions are in Polish." And I'm like, it's still the same directions. You
thing.
still do the same stuff. You don't go look at another one and look, take a picture.
Yep.
But having to do that, and yeah, I did tours in Iraq. Um those were challenging, but it was stay alive. That was the tour duty. That was the motto.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, stay alive, and we did. And they had creature comforts when you got back to the base, and you could bathe and you could go to like an MWR tent and stuff. But then you're back in something when you're back on convoy duty. And did you ever ride the Rhino, that big bus that they have where it's got all the plates on it? We call it the Rhino.
No, I never got
And
on.
oh my God, they would take you there. And that thing, I'm sure it was just rocks hitting it, but I thought everybody was shooting at us. It
Yeah.
looks like a Rhino going down the road, or an armadillo or something, And riding on that thing was scary as all get out. And did that. And I said, well, they have those small boats out there in the harbor that Navy guys ride on.
Mhm.
I'm going to be one of them boat guys. And I found a unit so I could go to an inshore boat unit
Nice.
and ride on those boats because it had AC in it. And I thought, we're still in camouflage. We're still pretty miserable. You got to wear the battle rattle and
Yeah.
stuff. You're hot. You're nasty. You go out there and the water's bouncing up and down. And we wore special battle rattle where you could pull a certain cable down and it would fall off around you if you went into the water.
Cool.
And we had flotation devices. So you were supposed to be able to stay up. I never tested it out. Never jumped in there with that big chicken plate or pigeon plate or
Yeah.
whatever they call it. I never jumped in there with that thing, but I was worried about if I ever had to,
man,
because
I
I could
tell you.
swim strong. But I don't know what's in that water. There got to be a shark or something. That's where Jaws was filmed, right?
Yep,
That's where
it.
anywhere there's salt water, there's something creepy crawly underneath there to me, the megalodon or something. And
Probably.
we did the boat units for the rest of my time until 2015 when I got out. I stayed on those boats, and I paid dearly in back and neck injuries. I have, like you said, totally disabled, can't run, have dreams about running. I'm this big fat size because I went from being able to eat anything and run it all off to now
Can't
you're
do
always
anything.
you're always hungry.
That's
You look
my
at a
fear.
cheeseburger and gain 5 pounds.
I'm the same way. I used to be athletic. I
Mhm.
used to run all the time. Now I can barely run one block
Hurts.
and I'm already hurt.
Everything hurts from
Everything.
the neck down. You're just like it's just like my fingertips.
I'm
hurt,
not
I swear.
100% disabled, but I get disability through the VA.
Yeah, I'm close. I'm at 90 and I'm fighting the other 10
man,
and
I
I've
tell
got
you what.
lawyers on it, and I'm hoping that it gets done because it's just an uphill battle to fight with them. That's another struggle that veterans go through.
The
is
VA.
the VA. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the VHA, which is the Veterans Health Administration, that's the side that has the doctors and the nurses. They are phenomenal. They're good people.
Yeah.
That you go in there, they're not looking at your insurance. They're like, get in here. Come on. You got an ID? Come on, get in here. We're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
They're great. The VBA, the benefits side, there's a reason why there's armed guards outside that place. They tell everyone no. And it's some teenager that has no college degree
Zero
that
experience.
copies and splices the reasons why they denied you the first go around. You have to reapply the second go around because they deny you right away on the first one because of certain keywords that they're looking for.
Yep, that's it.
And that's the downside of it. You know, I mean, we knew that going into it. That's another hurdle. Like I said, you got to jump it and keep going. I have veterans call me all the time. Hey, man, I'm dealing with that. Hey, yeah, that's your first time in there. Go back.
Yeah.
Go back and do this, and this. Go talk to DAV. Go talk to your Texas Veterans Administration person. Go speak to somebody in your local town. They have one in Johnson County. They have one in Tarrant County. Go speak to your person that will help you. You got to fight the battle, and you need the right weapons to do it. These are the people to go talk to.
Get a helping hand.
Yeah. Did that time in the Navy till 2015. Retired, and then, like I said, the depression set in, the alcoholism, the doing harm to myself, relationships I shouldn't have been in, people I shouldn't have talked to, just real downhill. And it was amazing how fast it went without the structure in my life.
Yeah.
And reached out to the VA solely because a crazy person in my life just wanted me to get money. Like that person was like, hey, this is free money. You know what I mean?
Get it.
I had a job and stuff, made good money, but this greedy person wanted to stay at home and reached out to the VA, started getting help, started realizing they actually can help you.
The VA has its benefits.
Yeah. The psychiatry in the VA, the psychology and the psychiatry has gone up in leaps and bounds. You know, you got guys, if you're a guy that does not want to go to the VA for psychological reasons, because you think they're going to come and take your guns, walk in there and tell them, I don't want to be here because if y'all think I'm crazy, you're going to take my guns. Psychologist pulled us aside in the room and he goes, we can't take your guns. As a matter of fact, if anyone does, you just voluntarily commit yourself. If somebody shows up from the local county and says, hey, someone complained on you, you say, I voluntarily commit myself. You guys go do an observation. Within 48 hours, 2 psychiatrists will clear you as being not crazy.
Yeah. Red flag laws, I think, are the worst.
And it scares the veteran.
It does.
Because we're trained to kill.
Yep.
You were not trained to be a bus driver when you went in the Army.
Nope.
You start off infantry and all you know how to do is pull a trigger and throw a grenade and everything you're supposed to do. Like I see these movies where they show us like clearing rooms and the guy doesn't know what to do. We all clear rooms.
Yeah, all of us.
If you have a rifle, you've gone to that range so many times, you know how to clear a room.
Yeah. And the person, what's weird is the person in charge, the lieutenant or captain, are the ones that would never cleared a room.
They've never been through that door.
They're the ones that are leading you.
They're the ones pointing you to go in there.
Yeah, just
right?
go in
and
there.
You know what to do. And I tell people all the time, I was like, you have no idea what you're capable of until you do it 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Because you've practiced it 10,000 times. People are like, you don't get scared? Well, yeah, I got scared later. At the time, you're just going through the motions. You've done this so much.
Yeah.
You're going through the motions. So, dealing with that and processing that later on, and guys are scared. They're like, I need my gun in my house. There's nothing but clowns and ISIS outside the front door. They're scared to death. And I'm like, hey, you go talk to the VA. They're not going to take anything away from you.
Yeah.
Just tell them what you're dealing with. Talk about the smells. Talk about one of the guys that was in there one day. He was talking about how his mom was looking at him and he could tell what his mom was thinking, that he's a stone cold killer. And then he didn't know how to communicate with her. And it wasn't until days later, he's like, well, you were staring at me because you knew. And she goes, I didn't know if you wanted spaghetti or lasagna.
Yeah.
Like that was what she was. So you have to put yourself out there and get the help. And it's actually, everyone goes, well, PTSD is not funny. Because I'll talk about it a little bit in stand up. They're like, PTSD is not funny. Oh, really? Have you ever seen 4 guys walk into a restaurant that are all veterans that have PTSD and try to decide who's sitting with their back to the door? That's the funniest game of musical chairs you've ever seen.
I've had quite a few arguments with my children and my wife over letting me face the dang door. It's just the way it is.
How I saw the argument, I go, who's armed? And then the person goes, well, I've got a 45. Okay, you sit facing the door. I'm sitting with my back to the door because I'm not carrying anything today. You know what I mean? It's really funny. It's macabre, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem is that it's macabre, but
we
it's
have
funny.
a serious dark humor. All of us.
It's
all
so
of us
bad.
have all of us super dark.
It's so bad. And we'll laugh. And your significant other is sitting there going, that is not funny. And you're like, think about it for a little bit. It'll catch on in just a minute. But and it gets you. It'll get you.
I mean, it's horrible what you've experienced, but at the same time, if you're able to manifest it into humor, I think it makes it better. Now, I mean, there are certain things that all of us go through in the military. Not all of us. Some of us go through that. Doesn't matter how you try to switch it, how you try to reframe it, or how you try to manipulate it.
Right.
It's still a tormenting time.
Right.
You know, me seeing dead children, I just doesn't matter how many times I think it's funny or it's not funny.
Right.
You know.
Right.
9/11 isn't funny.
No,
I had people who I knew die in 9/11, you know, so it hit home to me. Close friends, you know.
Yeah.
So
and I had even a friend of mine, Eli, he's Portuguese. His mom and dad, his dad worked at the World Trade Center as like a custodian or a maintenance man.
Yeah.
He had called in sick that day. We were worried sick trying to find out.
Crazy.
And finally called the house and he answered the phone and just everybody was beside themselves because we were so happy that he called in that day because he probably would have been dead, you know, had he not. And so many things that that have happened in your career. And I always, like, when you're talking with people, I always try to stay on the high. You know, I mean, it's going to come out, the low comes out, but you always try to stay on the high. But I think that I think the funniest stories for me is anything involving spiders or snakes on a base. Because
mine is children.
The
really? Iraqi kids that I've all my funny stories that I have are all involved Iraqi children.
They got no fear, right? They come right up to you.
I got stabbed in my arm by an Iraqi one of those kids that was selling DVDs and lighters at the front gate. Stabbed because I took away a lighter that looked like a 9mm.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so and of course I body slammed him to the ground.
Right.
His dad came and beat the shit out of him all the way home. Of course, we couldn't do anything, you know. But at the same time, it's like, dude, that was like the one of the most painful things I've ever gone through.
Like Purple Heart.
Seeing that doctor,
that
doc, grabbing some pliers, and he grabs it and pulling out that blade, and the blade's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
See you're that like, whitey bone.
Yeah, like, you're like, that is not supposed to be visible. No. I am not supposed to see these type of things.
But stories like that, even though I went through it, it's, to me, now that I think back, it's kind of funny. You know, his face when he was so mad. He was so mad that I took away his lighter.
I remember seeing Navy SEALs and Green Berets pass out because they're getting a shot. And these guys have tattoos all over them. I know. You're not afraid of needles, dude. You've
seen that.
Tattoos all over you. And then I've seen guys who are like, biggest macho men, the guys that are at the gym that they have a 12-pack, an 8-pack or something, run out in their underwear out of their clue because there's a snake or a spot. Get a flamethrower. We're burning the whole camp down.
They did that with scorpions. Every time there was a scorpion, they would run.
And I don't like them, but I'm gonna, dude, I just kill it and throw it out.
I've had a few encounters with some scorpions.
Oh man, all the creepy crawlies, they're always bad.
Okay, we got about 6 minutes here in our little radio show. What is something that, if somebody from Johnson County is watching you right now, what is something that you would want them to know about you? Anything, comedy show, your business. What is it that you want them to know about you?
I do the stand up, and I want to tell anyone in Johnson County, anyone in Tarrant County, anyone in the surrounding area of where we live in Burleson. Downtown Fort Worth has a great selection of stand-up comedians that are local. They're working their chops. They're out there. It's a great way to meet people. Get out on a Sunday, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they start late. They'll start at 7:30. I mean, Monday Night Football is going to dominate everything. Absolutely. So those don't even start on the Monday night till after it's over. But get out there and go see these local comedians. They're funny. You get a chance to meet them. You get a chance to you can catch, you'll go in there and all of a sudden a world famous comedian will show up because he
Yep.
just happens to be working Hyenas on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, Hyenas, they get celebrities down there all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
they'll be sitting in the back, these famous celebrities. They'll
Yep.
be, excuse me, producers and people looking
Yep.
for talent.
Mhm.
They'll sit in the back watching these young comedians,
yeah,
not
yeah,
realizing that they have their chance to make somebody laugh.
Right.
You
And,
know?
and I met TJ Miller down there. William Lee Martin's a friend of mine. Alex Ramundo. There's so many of them that come in there.
Mhm.
And yeah, they do big concert halls, but they cut their chops here. As a Texas boy in Fort Worth, they cut their chops here at those places. So they go to these places and they do their stand up. And I mean, that's really helped me coming out of my shell. That's helped me with my PTSD. Is that's where I get my adrenaline rush, getting on the air, getting
Yeah.
on the radio.
I'll
Like
tell
you
you
said,
what, people love comedians that talk about their past torment.
oh yeah, in the military,
Yeah,
Oh,
self-deprecating comedians.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love them.
there's a girl from Fort Worth that God, I wish I could plug her name right
Yeah.
now. But she talks about joining the Air Force because she wants to see the world. And I saw Des Moines and Jacksonville, and she's like, I never went to anywhere outside of the United States. It was horrible. I was on the tarmac of an airport. That was it. And she's got a whole bit that she does. It's really, and she's a Burleson comedian. She's
Yeah.
from here. Yeah, there's so many things that you can do. And then the local nightlife here. I mean,
It's very good in Burleson, not Burleson, but downtown Fort Worth is
Mhm.
very good nightlife.
Mhm.
It's got
Yeah.
a very prominent
Yeah.
nightlife.
now, Burleson, I mean, I go to MacGyver's on 1187.
Yeah.
I go to MacGyver's over there and I go over to Hoots every now and then. They've got live music.
They do.
And the brewery is awesome.
Yep.
I mean, that upstairs area, when it's cold, it's real nice up there. When it's 115, I don't recommend going out there and hanging
Yeah.
out because you're going to be dehydrated and
Yeah.
drunk after the second beer.
Yeah, I got invited there a couple months ago, and I went up there. Man, I just felt weird being. Here I am, 40-year-old man, and we
Mhm.
got all these 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hang out with my friends, and they're all dressed a certain way.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
I'm going home.
I think there's one called the Rusty Nickel down in downtown Fort Worth. I went there with some friends and we're all in our late 40s and it was like teenagers in lingerie running around there. It was like all the local TCU kids came down.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, everyone's tan and brown and wearing their underwear. It's like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
here.
Well, downtown Fort Worth is really up and coming compared to
Mhm.
other major inner cities. Fort
Mhm.
Worth it's making it on its own. Just the Sundance Square alone is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
prominent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
And when you see, like at where I work at UT Southwestern,
Yeah.
when they show the medical students, they're showing them like the horizon in Dallas. They go, by the way, that's not Dallas, that's Fort Worth. Dallas doesn't have a good horizon, so no one ever takes a picture of it.
yeah.
They always take a picture of Fort Worth and pawn it off as Dallas.
Yep.
And I'm like, that is awesome. Because we have the historic stockyards, we have
No, we
you
have
know.
Panther Island Pavilion that's going to be
Oh,
coming
yeah.
soon, and that's going to be 8 miles of Riverwalk. 8 miles of
8
Riverwalk.
miles of Riverwalk, right?
Some people can barely even do the San Antonio Riverwalk. That's like a couple miles. I can only imagine the world's longest Riverwalk, which is coming to us, Fort Worth.
And if you want to know how crazy we are in this area, Panther Island did a fireworks show in 4th of July whenever it was the burn ban and it was hot as hell and set the island on fire and had to call it and like make everyone evacuate. So in Texas, we do it right, man. It
Yeah,
ain't
we go
over.
big.
Party ain't over till there's smoke and the cops are going,
Yep.
get out of here, run, take off, leave.
Yeah, we got to go big with Fort Worth.
Yeah, that's right. You
Man, I
can't.
tell you what.
You go big or go home. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
we got.
So, what kind of dreams do you have for you as a comedian?
know,
you want to
uh,
be on your own TV show, 1 hour special? What?
Actually, I just don't want to be on an episode of Cops or Ridiculousness now. When I was young, I wanted to be on my own show. I want to be a pilot. I want to do all this stuff. Now I just don't want to be on America's
How to
Funniest
Make a
Home
Murderer.
Videos,
How
right?
to Make a
Yeah,
Murderer.
right. I don't want to be on Snapped or anything. I don't want to be the victim on Snapped. I don't
Yep.
want to, I don't want to be the dad that got hit by the wiffle ball in the
Oh,
balls,
man.
whenever
Yep.
you're like, all those things are the things I want to do to stay off the air.
Man.
Maybe a podcast now and then.
Yeah.
Maybe come on this air with you and talk to you now and then.
Yeah.
But holy crap, I don't want to be famous for have your mugshot on there. This is
Man.
the guy who ran
This
from
is
the it's nothing worse than whenever your friend
Yeah,
calls
The
you.
worst. Hi, I'm Chris Henson. Do you know where
Right,
you are?
right, you know where
Oh,
you are?
shit.
I thought I was hooking up. Oh no, it's Chris Hansen. I love that friends of mine who go to jail, and I need to let you know this. If you ever go to jail and you're a friend of mine, your mugshot becomes your photo when you call me forever.
Yep.
That is
Unbelievable.
until you get a newer mugshot.
Yeah, I have a couple friends with mugshots.
I've
So
never-
what's next for you? What's next for you after?
Next is more producing. I signed non-disclosure, so I can't really plug anything. But
Yeah.
more production, more producing, more stuff for the future. It's always going to be behind the microphone or in front of it. It's never
Good.
going to be any television, but I probably will always be something out there doing a podcast, doing something.
No, great. Everybody, this has been Vet for Vets with Angelo Rocha. This was my guest, Michael Oliver. Not the other Michael Oliver from the
Not the kid, not,
not
problem
the kid,
child.
not the kid problem child. Anyway, thank you for listening in. Good night. I love you all. And now please watch this later on or watch it whenever you get a chance. Bye.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview